They'll not be able to hear themselves. This is called a boron. It's one of those words that it's very important to hear it pronounced before you see it spelled. Because it's spelled B-O-D-H-R-A-N. All right. It's a Celtic word, which means the spelling is sort of strange for most of it. This is played in a lot of Irish and not quite as many Scottish bands, ensembles, groups. It's a drum. They come in different sizes. You can tune the heads with little knobs underneath, and you play it with what's called a tipple, and the tipple has two ends, and you play it what looks like it might be backwards, like that, instead of like so. You play. Usually you're sitting down to play it, but this one's small enough so that I can play it standing. So you got a 2/4 rhythm. You got a 6/8 rhythm, a jig, polka, 3 at the end. So a lot of different things like that. Only takes one boron per Irish or Scottish group, and that's plenty. And you can get slightly different tones. The reason I have this wrapped is because I didn't like the tone with the hard stick on it. Didn't care for that. I liked it. It had more of a resounding sound. So you can mess with it. You can change the intonation slightly. Get a higher pitch there, lower pitch there. You get a rim shot like that. So it's called a boron. Percussion. We'll put it out of the way.
So this is kind of a percussion instrument too. Does anybody know what this is? Rain stick. The rain stick. Sounds like rain falling, doesn't it? Yeah. Not neat? There are little pebbles in here.
No.
Now this is made out of a plant. What do you think this is?
Cactus.
It's a cactus, and if you look real carefully, you can see where the spines were cut off, so you don't get poked by it. But the spines on a cactus aren't only inside it, they're outside and inside as well. So they cut off the outside so you don't get poked, but the inside, they catch all those little pebbles as they fall down, and it makes that sound. So isn't that cool? That's a rain stick. And cacti only grow in South America, in this part of the world. They do not grow in Africa, where you would think like the Sahara Desert. So if you see a movie and they're supposed to be in the Sahara and they have cactus, they're lying to you. They're not there. They're only in South America. So that's where this instrument comes from. Now I have another, which is kind of a percussion instrument. And this is one I actually made. Very quiet. It's called a thumb piano here, but it's really called a kalimba or an imbira, depending which part of Africa, which country it is. And all it is, now this one we made in a class. Isn't that cool? It's just a block of wood. It's a box to amplify the sound. That open chamber amplifies things. Very soothing. And this is a real home-crafted instrument. It's nails and it's bobby pins. Girls, we know what those are, right? So that's our imbira. Okay, and I got one more, and I'll turn it back to Joe because he's got a lot more cool stuff to do. I know what these are? You know what these are? This is a panpipe. Did you ever know? Did you ever hear of the character Pan in Greek mythology?
Wait, that's a
Yeah.
plant.
Well, not Peter Pan. This is Pan, just Pan. He was a mythical creature in Greece, and he played the panpipes. That kind of sounds like a train horn, doesn't it? And it is a type of flute because you're blowing across that opening there. Did Peter Pan have one of those? He may have. He may have. Now, mine actually came from South America. So they're all over the world. Panpipes have kind of traveled throughout the world. So here we go. Kind of a cool instrument, isn't it? We're going to let Joe now make some real sound for you can really hear.
Some real noise, right?
You got it.
Oh, I know.
You may notice that bagpipers walk when they play, trying to get away from the noise. Bagpipes are also found over much of the world. The Turks have them, the Greeks have them, the Serbs have bagpipes, right? Any place there's animals that you can make a bag out of, so there's a bag, holds the air. This one's covered by a green bag cover, but we can let you see a wee bit of the bag here, right? And this, in Scotland, these are made usually from sheep hide. It doesn't work very well in our kind of climate. So we usually go to elk and cowhide for the bag. And there are synthetic bags. And then they are tied in to, well, it looks like you're trying to play an octopus here, right? We've got pipes that make a constant sound, and they're called drones. There's the bass, and then two tenors. And then the pipe that makes the bag fill with air, these are called warm pipes or hot pipes, so you have to blow into them, and which means the reeds are going to expect to get wet. And you blow in with a blowpipe, and then this is the business end. This is called the chanter. There's only 9 notes, right? And you heard about the bassoon and the oboe, and if we had an English horn with us today, the English horn or double reed instruments, well, this is another double reed instrument. The chanter has a double reed. And the drones each have a single reed like the clarinet or the saxophone. But the bagpipe is another one of those double reed instruments. It's not normally an orchestral instrument, but we can play them with brass bands. And these pipes actually have played with the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra. It's a great privilege of mine to be a guest player with them one time for a fantasy composed by a British composer named Davis for orchestra and bagpipe. I played the bagpipe. This is the pipe that people usually think about when they're playing bagpipes. It's the Great Eland bagpipe, the Pipe Voren and Gaelic. The Irish have the same instrument. They call it the war pipe. It takes several lungfuls to blow it up. You don't really want it to do that. You don't really want it to do that either. You ideally should stop right on the diamond. If you let it hang, you get nasty looks from the pipe major, and you get a few nasty words from the pipe sergeant, which we will not repeat here. But it's not as bad when you're solo piping, but it's still not a good thing to do. The idea is to try to bring them in. It takes a little doing to do that. And you kind of plan ahead to cut it off. That tune was the first part of a march called the Battle of Waterloo. It shows one of the interesting things about this bagpipe is that we have an octave of what we call A. It's actually, this is tuned about a quarter tune sharper than B flat, but we still call it A. And then it has the G below that. The other pipes I'm going to show you in a minute don't have that low note, although they have a lot of other things. This one doesn't. And there are a number of tunes that we can use that make full use of that low note. There's A lady way back a couple of hundred years ago, no, about 150 years ago, collected a lot of songs from the Western Isles or the Outer Hebrides Islands, and put those into a collection of songs of the Hebrides. And there's a lot of great tunes that came out of her collection. And she was able to get in there and do it from people who spoke primarily Gaelic, and who had various kinds of singing and playing, including that Boron that I just showed you. This is a tune from Mary Kennedy Fraser's collection called Road to the Isles. How are we doing on time, Susan? There was, we think of these as being raucous calls to war. You can hear them for several miles if you're downwind of them. On the other hand, it's amazing how close you can get if you're upwind of them without actually hearing them. So the wind has a lot to do with it. They're also very good on laments and slow airs, and these developed actually a classical type of music called pibroch, piping, in the Highlands. There was, how many of you saw on TV the funeral of Queen Elizabeth II? Okay. You'll remember when they were bringing the Queen out to take her to Westminster Abbey. There were mass pipes and drums there. They played Her Majesty's favorite song. It's called The Mist-Covered Mountains of Home. It was played by the Royal Highland Regiment, the Black Watch, at John F. Kennedy's funeral in Arlington Cemetery also, way back in 1963. This is that tune. It's called The Mist-Covered Mountains. Is an older type of bagpipe, has limitations in what it can do. The bagpipe went on to develop. And probably the culmination of the bagpipe is about as developed as it can get are these. Now, if that one looked like I was trying to play an octopus, this one will look like I'm trying to play a squid. And I'm going to move that there, because these have to be played sitting down. And while the Great Highland Pipe is tuned in no known key, a little sharper than B flat, these are actually tuned to concert pitch. And these are in concert D. And you can get a little bit mellower sounding ones in what are called flat keys, in C natural and in B flat. But I like to play with other people too. So these are in concert D, so I can play with other musicians. These are cold pipes. You don't blow into them. You put the air into them through a bellows. And this is the only musical instrument that I know of that is so dangerous that you have to strap yourself in. There's a bellows. There is a channel to connect the bag, which I will now do. There we go. Then I have to strap my arm into the bellows. A lot of moving parts. These pipes here, they're sort of international too, because the wood is cocobolo wood from South America. I heard a clarinet once made of cocobolo wood, and it was sweet, really sweet and smooth. The chanter is made of apricot wood, and that's from Armenia. In fact, apricot's sort of the national tree of Armenia and fruit, and they even have a stripe of apricot on their flag. And it's called the chanter. It's got, again, the same number of holes as on that, but by cross-fingering, we can play some notes that you can't play on the great pipes, and we can also play in a higher octave. So I will reset it here. And it also has a double reed here. These are single reeds in this. This is a double reed under the wind cap. But these are cold pipes, so you don't want to get these reeds wet. Those, you don't want to play them dry, you'll crack it. These, you don't want to play them wet. I'll let you hear the scale of this pipe. Now, we don't have, that's the low D, and we have 2 octaves of D. There's a little leather piece here that's called a popping strap, because I have to have a good seal, because everything else except that low D is played with a closed chanter. Once in a while I have to play one of the lower notes with an open chanter too, but usually you play it with a closed chanter. But to play the low D, so you can play staccato with this thing. I lost the top D. I was afraid that might happen. These are very commonly played. These were developed in Ireland, although mostly in Northern Ireland. The early uilleann pipers were actually Orangemen. These are called the Irish uilleann pipes. And uilleann is another one of those words that you want to hear pronounced before you see it spelled. It's spelled U-I-L-L-E-A-N-N, right? It's uilleann. Just uilleann. So when you come to that, uilleann pipes, that's how you say it. And it actually means elbow. So you're using your elbow to pump it up. Here's a jig. Okay. You'll notice I did that. Thank you. That tune's called Lark in the Morning, and it has about 8 different parts, and probably no piper ever played it exactly the same way 2 times in succession. I know, I never did. The Girl I Left Behind Me that we played back in that American Frontier set, that has a history in the United States as well as Ireland, because it became the trot of the 7th Cavalry Regiment of the United States Army. The Irish tune that became the canter, anybody do horses?
Yep.
All right, what's a canter like?
Faster.
Bump, 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 different rhythm.
Yep.
Bump, 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 bump is your trot.
Yeah.
Bump, 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 bump is your canter. Well, the one that became canter is called a Gary Owen. Let's see if I can do that. having trouble with the high hand today. In fact, I was afraid of that when it started getting cold in here. But that's the Garryowen, and that's your canter. It's kind of a 6/8, sort of like a jig, except a jig is usually bump, 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 and a 6/8 bump, 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 like that. These are also really nice on slow airs. And one of my favorite slow airs, and one of the reasons that I took up and tried to learn the Irish Uilleann pipes, because I'm an old Highland piper by trade, was this tune that actually came out of the Irish American literature. It was composed sometime in the 1830s. It became popular in the 1840s and 50s, and by the time of the war between the states, the Civil War, it was popular among soldiers and families on both sides. It tells of a tale of a young man and his sweetheart in Ireland. He's about to go into exile, probably to America, and she's sleeping. It's early in the morning. He's awakened. He has to leave today. And he's wondering why she's still sleeping, probably because she knows he's going to leave and doesn't want to wake up. He wants her to wake up. It's called Kathleen Mavournin, Kathleen, my darling. Well, these things evolved out of a lot of trying. You may have noticed on that pipe that the scale is actually sort of like a major scale, but the seventh note, if you think of it as an A scale, then the seventh note, the G, is actually flat. It's not a G sharp. I'll show you on this what I'm talking about. This is in D. So we're talking about a C sharp. See? Shut the drones off. He wants to go to the high hand. Okay? That's high D and then down to a C sharp. But here it is with the seventh note actually a C natural. C sharp, C natural. Let's see if I can do it with the drums. One of the reasons that happens. One of the things you'll notice, if you watch a great Highland piper out in the field getting ready to play, and they're tuning, they tune every note. They get their bass drone, the deepest drone, and the chanter in tune. And then they go through and listen to every note. Because it turns out that the way these pipes evolved, every note on the chanter is supposed to be in a consonant, a harmonic relationship with one or more of the overtones of the bass drum. And because of the way the music of these instruments works and the acoustics of it, the higher overtones, what is the seventh? Is the sixth partial or the seventh? I can't remember. The sixth, I can't remember. It's the sixth or seventh.
Octave, 1,
Octave,
2,
fifth.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Seventh. It's the seventh partial. The seventh note of the scale is the seventh overtone, or the seventh partial. And it turns out that that seventh partial is a little bit flat. That's just in the nature of the way music is. Those higher partials are a little flat. So that Great Highland bagpipe you do not have a choice between a C sharp and a C. It will be a C natural. And we call that the Mixolydian mode. Instead of the major mode, we call it the Mixolydian mode. Here is a Scottish tune that has in its second part that you can hear that flat seventh note, and how it blends in with the drones, and how it also is sort of weeping. It's called Rowan Tree. I'll play it now, that second part with a C sharp, the sharp second. See how it clashes a little bit with the drone, and it's not quite so weepy. So these things evolved that way. People experimented until they got the sound they wanted. So you'll see those old pipers out there. They may not know the music theory of it, but they know what they're supposed to hear. And what they're supposed to hear is a scale that is not quite like the piano scale that's tuned so you can play in any key. This is more like what's called a just scale, kind of like the way people would naturally sing. And fix me if I go wrong, Susan.
Yeah, you're right.
So these things evolve from people out experimenting, trying. One of the things that I don't have on this is some extra keys. You can put some extra keys. The problems with extra keys is that eventually they start to leak. So the more you got that moves, the more can go wrong.
Like many things. Thank you, Joe. We're going to have some instruments if people would like to try a cello or a violin. We have a question.